All right, click the links to join the channel here over at Subscribe now over at Odyssey. So Vince McMahon fights his most dangerous foe, Poon. He gets taken out by the camel toe clutch. His most slippery opponent turns out to be Virginia. It seems like when a celebrity gets accused of something, all concept of due process goes out the window because people just want a juicy story and they're willing to believe any kind of accusation, no matter how salacious. And the truth is usually not as crazy as the accusations. Here, some of the things are kind of off the charts. From what I can gather, Vince McMahon had a prostitute for an ongoing relationship. That she also involved herself in active prostitutions with other people in that community. I mean, that just seems pretty straightforward. She was paid to keep quiet, and maybe she wanted more money or a bit of publicity and fame, though why she'd want to be famous as a prostitute is pretty weird. Some people really want fame, and some famous people seem to want a quiet life, so who knows. I'm guessing she maybe is trying to get paid more than she already made, or two, turn this into something, maybe a book deal, or she could be getting paid from another party to try to take down Vince McMahon for some reason. And I don't want to be a jerk if she's actually the victim of something nefarious, but even in the things that are alleged here, it just doesn't sound like it. It sounds like an ongoing sexual relationship for money. If there's not force or threats involved, then that's just prostitution by definition. If she didn't want to commit to continue the ongoing relationship, then why did she? At some point, you have to give her agency for her own, decisions. It seemed like it started as a sort of a workplace environment thing, and then it just kind of turned to out and out prostitution. Well, is it consensual or not? Because it sounds like she got paid millions of dollars for sex over a long period of time. It also sounds like an example of everyone involved might be scumbags. It's that Norm Macdonald quote, rest in peace. But if they're adults consenting to all this degeneracy, then what exactly is your cause of action? Because usually something like this is settled out of court. It seems like Vince McMahon has got plenty of money. It doesn't seem like an issue that he pays for prostitutes. So something's wrong about this whole story. It doesn't pass the sniff test. There's something more is going on with this Janelle Grant lady. Then there are the text messages that are allegedly going back and forth, and that's what I don't know, raised the BS detector. Was everything sounds reasonable until you read the text messages, because it doesn't sound like at the time he would have been in his 40s or 50s. That's just not how a mature adult writes. It sounds like a teenager is writing his sexual fantasies for a penthouse forum or something. And maybe it's possible that at the time he was a 50-year-old sex obsessed pervert, but that part of it feels off. If she's a consenting adult having sex for money, then you have to treat her like an adult and not like a child. So and nowadays, people seem to infantilize women. But I mean, you got to go like, well, do they have agency or not? I mean, I know most of them don't, but I'm not politically correct. But left wingers, I guess, have to believe the fiction that they do. So then you have to treat them as equal to men, which puts them I mean, because they're not. It puts them in a really weird position where they have to kind of maintain that fiction of we're all equal. And it's like, no, women are not men; they're different. Well, especially nowadays, they seem to believe that women can be men. So Vince allegedly had a string of prostitutes, that's pretty degenerate. And it sounds like he had a sex addiction, but if it's also consensual, then what are you going to do? So it goes through. This woman was paid over $1 million in cash, and then she was paid in goods, very expensive goods, to have rough sex, whatever that means in this context. And allegedly they had sex toys named after wrestlers. On Twitter, people are come up with the names for the sex toys. I don't know if I can repeat them on YouTube. So the whole thing sounds embarrassingly stupid to me. I would rather just not have sex than have cringy sex that you pay for. And honestly, it sounds like Vince McMahon might be the real victim here. Being addicted to pussy has got to be a burden. So she says she was injured by sex toys, which begs the question, then why did you use them? Why did you stay with somebody who's treating you like a cum dumpster? and you not only were you having sex with him, you were going to other hotel rooms and having sex with other guys. That's for money. That's just prostitution. It's not sexual slavery when you consent to taking money for sex and there's no threat of force or violence. And the guy is super public, and people think that makes them more powerful. In general, yeah, but not for something like this. It makes them usually more cautious because they're extremely vulnerable to someone who would want to either blackmail them or do a lawsuit like this, or just accuse them criminally to try to take them down. That's why usually guys are more careful than this. But it sounds like maybe he did have a sex addiction. I don't know, but because really in a position like this, he's really the vulnerable one. He's got a long history of paying out money to prostitutes, but it also seems like it was something's just not adding up. The fact that he's got so many eyeballs on him usually means that he's got to keep things sweet with prostitutes, keep them on, make sure you part ways on good terms. And like everything's up front. It's like they know they're getting paid in gifts and cash for these relationships. The fact that he's got so many eyeballs on him is what is like the whole story. Just it doesn't make sense. He's a high profile celebrity for sure, but I don't know why he's a high profile target, even if it's vaguely political. It just doesn't seem worth the trouble. And them not doing this, behind closed doors and just going, okay, listen, all it takes is like $3 million to make her go away. And you don't have to go through the hassle. It seems like he has the money, but also the wrestling organization. To them, it might even be worth it just for him and the wrestling company UFC now owns it. Be like, okay, let's just pay. You pay some, we'll pay some. We'll make her go away, and this thing will be done. And now he just have him retire and no longer associated with the company. So I don't know the whole thing. The text messages, you can read the text messages on Twitter. They're just not like an adult would write. Not a 40, 50-year-old guy would write text messages like that, even if he does have a sex addiction and he's totally addicted to using. And like the whole thing about sex toys that's cringy in and of itself. It's like to have, that cliche of somebody has like a bookshelf full of these kind of toys. It's like, is all that necessary? Because it feels like, I don't know, what do you call it, like performance, like visual, like they're getting off on the visuals of having these bizarro toys. It's like, you have a tongue, you have your body is usually going to provide, or I don't know, like one toy you're allowed. Okay, maybe two toys, one would be like rechargeable and one not. But like most people don't need toys, and they have a very complete sex life, if you know what I mean. So I don't know, this feels performance. That's what it is. It feels like performative, like they're imagining a camera is on them. And I don't know, it just, the whole thing feels embarrassingly cringy. I have secondhand embarrassment for everyone involved in this story. But she made, it sounds like from what I'm adding up, millions of dollars to have sex with him consensually, and then to have sex with his friends consensually. It's like scumbag, degenerate, all of them. Yeah, all of them. If you're a prostitute, you're having sex for money, it's not a good thing. And he's a John paying for sex. That's not a good thing either. But it's also a consensual thing. So, Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys all over at the other platforms. Thanks to the 14 new members on Odyssey. Y'all are absolutely the titties.